cute.
She's adorable.
What's going on, guys? We're back at it again. So today we got a bunch of goodies for you. So we finally moved into the new house. It's great. This is my new garage. Still not fully moved in yet, but we're getting there. I couldn't wait. You know, all of our stuff's not even here yet, and I couldn't wait to get my Can-Am here so I could start working on it because I had so many parts, so many goodies to install. But let's get right to it. So, you know, I installed the two-step. You guys seen that. And in order for two-step to work, you need a 2,500 RPM belt engagement. And so Evolution's POWERSPORTS is going to help us achieve that with this spring. This is a dark blue spring. This is a 2,500 RPM engagement spring that they have. It's much stiffer than the OEM one, and you'll see that once we remove it. But it's actually stiffer and taller. And all that power, you know, we got all that power, now we got to deliver it, and we got to get it to the right power band, right RPM range. Again, Evolution POWERSPORTS is going to help us achieve that with these lightweight weights for the secondary clutch, or the primary clutch. We're only going to install 2 of these. We're going to tune it, ton of tunability with these, so we're just going to do 2. We're going to do counter from each other, one across from the other, and see where our RPMs are at, you know, on stage 5 to make sure they're where we want them to get the most power out of it. And all of that is going to be installed using the Alba toolkit. Alba's local here in San Diego. They're in Santee, and they offer this great kit. I mean, they didn't hook me up at all, like all the stuff I paid for. But, you know, I was looking around for the best toolkit to do this, and this thing is so well thought out. I mean, it's a big hunk of aluminum, but they did such a good job machining all of it and TIG welding and polishing, and I mean, they thought of everything. Even instead of using a nut and impact, they made you this little nut driver here. Really cool. I mean, I haven't even opened it all yet, but I mean, they did a tremendous job putting this kit together. So we're definitely going to put it to use. But first things first, we already removed the belt. It is a world's best belt from G-Boost, you know, the Evolution belt. Super happy with that so far. Haven't really, you know, taken it out too much, but what I did, it handled great. But so first we're going to take off the secondary just to have room, because I'm not taking off too much suspension components. We're going to remove this to be able to remove the primary clutch, get it out of there nice and smooth. Also, you're going to remove this sway bar end link. You're just going to remove that so you can have nice access with the bolt, with the clutch remover tool right here, this guy, clutch puller, in order to have the you know, space needed to do it. So we're going to start off by removing this. I believe that is, I think it's a 17 millimeter if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so it's a 17, so we'll remove that guy, get that all out, and pull the primary and get her going. So let's start with that. Okay, so after you got your secondary off and your primary, using this clutch puller right here, you're going to leave it installed, and you're going to measure from the top of this, from the top of your primary to the top of the clutch puller, and it'll be 1.5 inches. Okay, you want to leave 1.5 inches standing up, right? And you're going to do that for this guy here. So you're going to get your big old plate, and then the big bolt that's in the kit, and drop it in like that, hold it, put this in to hold it all together, and there's 6 bolts on the top of this. You're gonna get those all lined up and start threading in these Allens. Like that. You want them to be all even, so when this thing pulls off, it's all even. These are 6 millimeter, I believe. Yeah, they're 6. Again, just snug them up. They don't need to be too tight. But they do need to be even. Good to go there. Now thread this thing all the way down. Starting to make contact right there. And then the size of that guy is 24. take your impact. It shouldn't take much. That's why this has this handle, right? You hear that pop? So we should be off now. And that's separated now, okay? Won't come all the way apart until you pull your clutch puller, because it is double threaded. There's threads on each section. There's threads in this sheave and in the crankshaft itself on the Can-Am. So remove all these, pull this all apart, and we're already separated and ready to go. You can stop. So after you pull off your top plate, you're gonna pull your clutch tool back out, the clutch puller, the 19 millimeter. Some of these come right off. Mine is not. So just use, a little pry bar, flathead. You can spin it. Okay. Pull it out evenly. Okay. Try not to scar anything. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a Sharpie. Grab a Sharpie over here. And we're gonna mark just how it came off. I mean, there's nothing too balanced in here. I'm not really fearful, but I am gonna mark, find a good spot. It's already got some markings. We'll go with this guy, okay? It says 201, we'll go with that and that. Just so it goes back on the same way. Just in case, right? Just if you want to be a little paranoid, a little thorough, not a bad thing. And so it's, I mean, this thing's only got like 20 miles on it. And so these little buttons in here are known for popping off. And mine are obviously new, so there's a lot of drag on them right now. More than typical, but we're walking her out. See these little buttons right here? 20 miles and we already have all that sand in there. Look at that, all that dirt. But now we're off, okay? So this is it here. These little buttons right here, they like to pop off, but we're good to go. So we'll set this over here. Not needed. So what we're gonna take off now is these 6 bolts. That's where your actual spring is. So in here is this piece of all thread. That's the tool we're going to use next. We're going to thread it all the way through using these and the washer. You're going to put it through, and then the washer, put it under this nut so you don't damage anything. Hold it together, and then you could release it. We'll do that now. Okay, so after you put your piece of all thread, it's got a nut on it. You're gonna use this tool with the welded on nut. They do supply another nut, but I think this is pretty handy right here because it does have a handle. You don't have to hold that though, just hold over here. It is a T30 on these Torx bits in here. And I'm sure there's lockers on them. Move them in a star pattern. And we use this because it's aluminum. It's all threaded aluminum, right? So you don't want to put too much excess load on it because it'll just spit out those threads. Get those all out. Good to go. Put this on one side. Make sure these are all out. Okay, we're good to go. And again, we're going to mark this guy also. It's really centrally located. It's in the center of the force, so it's not really going to cause an imbalance because it's too close to the center. But we're going to do it just to make sure everything's going on the same way it came off. So just put a little mark there. There's a new Sharpie, but you get the point. So after that, we'll remove these guys, set them along on the side. We'll put this thing on its side and start slowly disengaging this. We'll do the last couple turns, just so nothing's flying all over the place. Set that alongside, pull this guy off, and that's it right there, right? That's what we're removing. We're removing this spring. This is what we were after. So we can look at the difference here. Substantial difference. So you have the black spring from Eva. It's got some purple markings on it, right? Which indicate its spring tension, and the Evo spring. It's much heavier. The Evo spring is much heavier, which is going to give you that 2,500 RPM engagement. After that, you know, this is a new clutch, so there's not going to be much debris, but you put it in the same way. There's no right or wrong orientation. The springs are exactly the same on each side. So you just put it back in there, make sure it's centered best as possible, because you are going to be putting it back on. And then put your cup back on top of that spring. Maybe you can see it. Look at that gap. I mean, that's why we're using this tool, to help alleviate that, so we don't strip anything and struggle. And it's just gonna be a nightmare if you're doing this by yourself. You know, maybe you and a buddy could do it by hand somehow, but I don't see how that's possible. So we'll put this guy back on. We'll use the gun again to put it back on, but the final torque down of it, we're gonna do by hand. Okay, so now that we've installed our 2,500 RPM engagement spring, and this is all torqued down all nicely and good to go evenly, we're gonna move to the weights that I mentioned earlier. So we're gonna install 2 of these Evolution weights. These are a lighter weight, help us get to that desired RPM. 2 tools you're gonna need are a T25 Torx and an 8mm socket. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna replace 2 that are directly across from each other. It doesn't matter, it could be any 2. And what's unique about the Evolution weights versus the OEM weights, these washers are easily lost, these little bushings. These are permanent bushings, it's all one piece, okay? But if you look at the difference, it does have a slight surface difference. These look like they have a zinc coating on them, but the curvature is much different, right? Much more aggressive on the Evo weight and much lighter. So these are gonna open first, right? When centrifugal force is hitting, these are gonna be the first to react when that's all happening. So drop that guy in now. Super simple, goes in real smooth. Put the bolt in the same way that you pulled it out. Nothing special here. And this does have a nylock nut on it. Careful not to break the hardware. Doesn't take a ton of force on this guy. So we're gonna go on nice and gentle and finish by hand. Reverse my socket. And that's about it for that guy, and repeat it on the opposite side. All right, so now that you've installed these weights, and if you can see here, they're opposite from each other, make sure that they move freely, okay? Like they have to all move freely. That's part of their function. I'm gonna be completely honest, the first one that I installed might have a little high spot on it or something, but it was tight. So I just put in another one, it's all good, it's all moving freely now. That's exactly what we want, and we're good to go. Now you're gonna put this guy back on. Make sure you're not losing any of your O-rings, all that good stuff. Put it all back together, put your buttons back in, and put it back in. We did mark it, so we can orientate that and go from there. All right, so now that the spider's all put back together, and it's all good to go, give it a good wipe down. If you got some acetone or something like that, wipe her down, because you do have greasy fingerprints, all that good stuff. So give it a good wipe, make sure it's all seated, good to go. Grab the whole assembly, and you're gonna drop it back down. Very careful. Reach around the shock. Okay. Walk it back here. We're back on. It is a tapered fit. I did blow it out, make sure that there's nothing in there floating around on me. Grab the bolt, put the bolt back in, and torque her down. Okay, so now that the primary is on, we're gonna go ahead and set our secondary on. This one is a little tricky. Oh, is that first try? There we go. Yahtzee. I'm gonna cut all that part out.
Yeah.
Oh, that was not smooth.
But keep the Yahtzee part, please.
That's gonna be 17.
Cookie.
Okay, record?
Yep. Full time.
Oh, you been?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that your primary and secondary are on, you're gonna use your clutch tool for the belt tool. And I got a little trick for this. Use a washer or a nickel, but this washer's been working out for me, so continue to use that guy so you don't scar up the clutch. And you're gonna expand that guy. See how it's not messing up your clutch surface. Now, I've used a penny, and the problem with the penny is it doesn't really have a lip on it, and it slips off like this one is starting to do. So I'm gonna have to watch that one when I'm taking it back off. Just wipe everything down. One more time.
No?
Okay, now we're gonna drop the belt on. Make sure it goes in the same direction as you took it off. The writing facing you. Okay, you're gonna go on there first. Go around. Take out all the slack. And start your belt. Maybe I didn't fully disengage.
The clutch. Here goes.
Hey, Tony.
Okay, we are on. Move your clutch tool. Spin it into place. Give a few spins like that, and you'll see it'll go all the way up to the top. And you're good to go. You should be done. Give her a test fire. Make sure everything's operating as it should be.
Just engaged.
Not right now, okay?
No, not right now. No. Now. Right there. Right there.
crazy. The gauge is super high.
Super high.
All right, now we're all wrapped up and ready to go. It's time to check it, to test. Don't forget your sway bar in link. Reinstall that guy, and it should be good to go. So let's check it, see if we're getting that 2,500 RPM engagement. So as you can see, it's working. I wasn't even on full two-step, and it's working as designed. It's engaging where I want it to. I picked the lower of the 2 RPMs that they have available. They have, so I think it's like a 2,300 RPM and a 2,600 RPM spring. I don't remember right offhand, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. I wanted to maintain some drivability, and I think it is going to do just that. It does take a little getting used to because it does have a higher engagement, but it feels good. I'm used to driving like a twin disc, triple disc clutch on a manual vehicle, so it is working. It feels a little weird in reverse, but like I said, a little getting used to, just knowing your vehicle, relearning it. This was straightforward. As far as install, don't be too afraid of this. You do need the proper tools. You do need this clutch toolkit. And you know, there's not too many instructions out there for this sort of stuff, for installing the spring, for installing the weights, all that good stuff. So hopefully this video kind of encaptured all that and put it in one video for you, and you could, you know, just do a quick Google search or YouTube search if you're, you know, getting stuck on something, and this will help you get through it. Hopefully that's what the purpose of these videos are. Next, I'm going to install this Alba clutch cover quick release kit. Again, I wasn't able to find any instructions, you know, so hopefully this video provides that for somebody. I don't know if I'm gonna make a video for that. I probably should, right? Be a quick one, be like a 5-10 minute video. But yeah, super stoked, can't wait to get out there and test it out. And I'll be at Camp Razor, which is in, I think it's less than 2 weeks, to be honest. But yeah, we'll be out there. Oh, it is 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from today's Sunday. But yeah, so we'll be out there testing this guy, rep button it all back up, get it ready to go. I think I got a few more parts to throw on it. Gotta get some paddles. But yeah, we'll see you out there. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.